On the day of my wedding, my fiance's aunt took her own life. Before she died, she left a will, granting her entire fortune to me, no strings attached. While sorting through her belongings, we discovered a diary filled with heartfelt entries she had written to me. One read, "If I can't be the one to bring you happiness, then I will give you a lifetime free from worry." It was only then that I understood why she had never married. It turned out the person she had been waiting for was me. Reborn, the first thing I did was kneel before my parents. Mom, Dad, about the arranged marriage with the Donovan family. I choose to marry Eleanor Donovan. Hearing my sudden request, my parents were stunned. Al, isn't it Scarlett you love? Eleanor is Scarlett's aunt. A flicker of memory crossed my mind, and my voice carried a trace of sorrow. It's because I know the consequences of loving her that I don't dare to anymore. In my past life, Scarlett Donovan and I were childhood sweethearts. When our parents brought up the idea of a merger through marriage, I remembered all the years Scarlett had cared for me so attentively. I chose her without hesitation. But after the news broke, her attitude toward me shifted, moving from anger to cold indifference, and finally to disgust. I didn't understand why, but I still married her, believing things would get better. But then our child was born, and in my study, I found thousands of photos of Leo Vance that Scarlett had hidden away. It was then I learned that the person she truly loved was the son of their housekeeper. The class difference had kept them apart. 2 years after our wedding, Leo married someone else, but his marriage was always unhappy, and Scarlett drank herself into a stupor day after day, grieving for him. The day Leo's wife died in a car crash was the happiest day of Scarlett's life. I saw it all, my heart filled with a bleak sorrow, but I could only force myself to ignore it and focus on raising our daughter. Until a kidnapping pulled our daughter and Leo's son into the line of fire. The kidnappers told Scarlett to choose one to save. She hesitated for only a few seconds before choosing the boy who shared no blood with her. In the next moment, our daughter was pushed from a high-rise building to her death. Witnessing it all, I shattered on the spot and followed her down. Now, living my life over again, I refused to continue torturing myself. I just wanted to sever all ties with Scarlett Donovan. My parents, unable to persuade me, finally nodded and quickly went to the Donovans to discuss changing the bride. After they left, I had received a text from Scarlett, the Onyx Club. Mouth. I decided to use this chance to make things clear about the marriage. I changed clothes and headed over. The moment I pushed open the door to the private room, a bucket of ice-cold water drenched me. Laughter erupted from all sides. Well, if it isn't the great Caleb Winchester. Why do you look like a drowned rat? Serves him right. Who told him to cling to Scarlett every day? A pathetic lapdog deserves what he gets. Scarlett strode toward me, her eyes filled with a dark gloom. Are you that desperate to marry me? The second the news of our engagement was out, you had your mother rush to my house to make arrangements, turning the wedding into a city-wide spectacle. Now the entire high society knows we're getting married. Are you satisfied? I knew she had misunderstood. Wiping the water from my face and smoothing back my wet hair, I looked at her calmly. The alliance between the Winchesters and the Donovans is a done deal. It doesn't matter who initiates the conversation. But you don't need to worry, because this has nothing to do with you. Scarlett froze for a second, then laughed coldly. Nothing to do with me. Don't tell me the person you're marrying isn't me. That's hilarious. Besides me, who else in the Donovan family would you marry? Just as I was about to speak, the slightly ajar door was pushed open. Leo Vance rushed in, his eyes welling with tears when he saw the scene. Scarlett, I heard you were getting married. I came to wish you all the happiness. May you and Mr. Winchester have a long and blissful life together. After finishing, he turned and ran out, his eyes red. Leo. Scarlett panicked, shoved me aside, and chased after him. I stumbled back into a coffee table, my forehead hitting the corner. A gash opened up, and blood streamed down, a gruesome sight. The crowd in the room continued to jeer. A forced marriage is a bitter one. Scarlett doesn't want to marry him, so what if they get married? When the time comes, Scarlett won't be home, and some lapdog will be left to whine alone. Amid the taunts, my phone buzzed. I picked it up and saw a text from my parents. Caleb, Eleanor agreed. The wedding will be in 2 weeks. My usually composed parents had used 3 exclamation points, showing just how surprised and thrilled they were. When I read that Eleanor had agreed, I let out a sudden sigh of relief. I pushed myself to my feet and looked at the gleeful crowd, my expression filled with a newfound resolve. My future happiness is my own concern, and it has nothing to do with Scarlett Donovan. Please pass on a message for me. I am getting married in 2 weeks. And the bride isn't her. Back home, I gathered everything related to Scarlett and packed it into a box. My parents saw this upon their return and paused. Caleb, have you really let go of Scarlett? You don't love her anymore. Seeing me nod without a hint of hesitation, they relaxed and smiled. That's for the best. Eleanor is busy overseas, so we had a video call with the Donovans today and settled the details. Compared to Scarlett, Eleanor is calm and mature. She's a much better match for you. It's just that her reputation precedes her. She's in a league of her own. We never even considered her, and thought she'd refuse. We never expected her to agree so quickly. My eyes immediately turned red. From the moment I made the decision, I knew Eleanor would agree. In my past life, because of our age gap, all the young hairs were intimidated by her. I was no different and kept my distance. We rarely sought each other outside of family gatherings. I only knew that she poured all her energy into her work, single-handedly building a corporate empire, and never married. Until she took her own life at 35. It was only when sorting through her belongings that a stack of love letters was found in her bedroom. Each one was addressed to Orion. No one knew who that was. Only I knew. On the day I was born, the sky was full of brilliant stars. Orion, for the magnificent constellation, was the intimate nickname my closest elder had given me. I had never known that this powerful, seemingly untouchable woman had been secretly in love with me my entire life. Now that heaven had given me a second chance, I was willing to give us both one. Lost in thought, my parents brought a gift box to me, their voices filled with satisfaction. Caleb, tomorrow is your birthday. Eleanor can't make it back in time. She had her assistant retrieve this gift from her study. See if you like it. Opening it, I saw a ring that sparkled brilliantly. It was the most expensive diamond ring sold at Sotheby's in the last 50 years, known as the Polaris ring. I had been lucky enough to see it once and had never forgotten it. I never imagined Eleanor would send such a precious gift. A warmth instantly filled my heart. In my past life, from the moment our engagement was announced, Scarlett had never given me another gift. I had long forgotten what it felt like to receive a present from someone you loved. The next day, the birthday party for the heir of the Winchester family began at 700 p.m. sharp at the city's most luxurious hotel. Guests flocked to offer their congratulations. With my marriage settled, a weight was lifted from my shoulders, and I smiled freely. Until, midway through the party, a commotion erupted at the entrance. All eyes turned to the door, and I followed their gaze. I saw Scarlett Donovan leading Leo Vance into my birthday party. But that wasn't the most humiliating part. The most humiliating part was Scarlett's friends aggressively carrying a large plaque toward me. In the center were 4 large words, to Caleb, the master actor. The guests pushed and shoved to get a better look, whispering amongst themselves. The room buzzed with gossip. I clenched my fists, staring at the troublemakers. What is the meaning of this? A few of them sneered. You should be asking yourself that. Didn't you say yesterday that Scarlett wasn't your bride? Then why did she come home to find the house preparing for a wedding? This whole playing hard to get to act. But no one does it better than you, Caleb. We think these words suit you perfectly. I knew you were just bluffing yesterday. You've chased Scarlett for years. Everyone knows you're a simp with no self-respect. Suddenly saying you don't love her and won't marry her. It's just a tactic. In your generation of the Donovan family, there's only Scarlett. If you don't marry her, who would you marry? The hall immediately filled with mocking laughter. Scarlett also looked at me coldly. Caleb, stop with the act, and don't try to get my attention. After we're married, apart from the title of my husband, I will give you nothing. I had heard those exact words from her in my past life. And she hadn't been lying. In our 7 years of marriage, apart from the title, I truly had nothing. The surrounding crowd murmured at her words. I raised my voice. Scarlett, I don't need a title from you. Listen closely. My fiance is not you, nor is she of your generation. It is your aunt, Eleanor Donovan. Before I could finish, I was interrupted. Leo suddenly clutched his nose, his face breaking out in red hives. His eyes turned red as he leaned on Scarlett's shoulder. Scarlett, I'm so itchy. Why are there so many hyacinths here? I'm allergic to hyacinths. Hyacinths were my favorite flower, so the entire hall was decorated with them. Hearing Leo's breathing grow rank, Scarlett anxiously called his name, finally telling someone to take him to the hospital. She left behind 2 sentences. One for me, Caleb, after we're married, you are forbidden from having hyacinths anywhere. And one for her friends, I am leaving. Trash this party. You got it, Scarlett. Mission accepted. Before the words had even faded, the group descended like a pack of wolves, flipping tables and smashing chairs. The birthday cake was stomped into the floor, and shards of glass from wine glasses and plates flew everywhere. The flowers were trampled into mush by fleeing guests. I roared in anger, "What gives you the right to destroy my birthday party? You're going to be Scarlett's husband. You're so whipped, of course what she says goes." Ha ha ha, I screamed until my voice was hoarse. But I couldn't stop the rampage, only earning more ridicule. Finally the guests all left, and my birthday ended in a field of wreckage. For the next few days, I locked myself in my room. When my parents learned of Scarlett's outrageous behavior, they were even more glad I wasn't marrying her. They threatened to go to the Donovans, but I emerged after a few days and stopped them. The wedding was close and I didn't want any more drama. After calming my parents, I left the house with a design sketch. I hadn't been sulking over Scarlett, she was already a stranger to me. I had been in my room personally designing a wedding ring for Eleanor. I knew the Polaris ring was priceless, so I wanted to use this gesture to repay her profound affection. I gave the design to our butler and asked him to find a master craftsman to create it. But when the deadline passed, the ring hadn't arrived. I inquired and learned that a few days prior, Scarlett had come to the jeweler to pick out some pieces, saw the ring, and immediately took a liking to it. After a few questions, she took it, leaving only a single sentence, "It's mine anyway, no need to call Cub." The staff, knowing about the Winchester Donovan engagement, didn't stop her. My heart sank. I rushed to the Donovan estate to find Scarlett and get the ring back. The moment I walked in, I saw Leo sitting in front of a mountain of delivery boxes. "Miss, you secretly paid for my entire shopping cart again. You treat me so well, how can I ever repay you?" Scarlett said gently, "Because I want to. You don't have to repay me. How many times have I told you not to call me Miss?" Leo then softly called her Scarlett. Watching their affectionate exchange, I strode in without blinking. Hearing my footsteps, Scarlett turned. Seeing me, she frowned. "What are you doing here?" I held out my hand. "Give me back the wedding ring you took." Seeing my gesture, Scarlett raised an eyebrow. "It's ruined." My gaze darkened. My voice grew heavier. "What do you mean, ruined?" Scarlett was still thinking of an excuse when Leo, sitting on the floor, spoke up sheepishly. "Mr. Winchester, I saw online that wedding rings are the best for opening packages, so I used it to open a few hundred boxes. It's all scratched up now. Do you still want it?" He opened his palm, revealing the horribly scuffed ring. "You dared to give my wedding ring to Leo Vance to open boxes." In an instant, a furious fire ignited within me, spreading to my limbs. I'd lost control. "Scarlett, what gives you the right to take my things?" "Leo, what gives you the right to destroy it? Do neither of you know the meaning of the word respect?" Seeing me break down over a ring, Scarlett's cheerful mood soared, her voice laced with impatience. "This ring was meant for me anyway. What are you making a scene for?" "Oh right, I've decided to just sign the papers and skip the ceremony, so your ring design is useless. Don't waste your effort." Her dismissive attitude made me clench my fists in fury. I declared once more, "Scarlett, this wedding ring is not for you." Scarlett retorted sarcastically, "If it's not for me, who is it for?" "Alb, you've taken this act far enough." She casually tossed the ring aside and pulled Leo away. "Don't waste time on him." "Leo, didn't you say you wanted to learn to drive a few days ago? Come on, I'll teach you." Watching their departing figures, a wave of anger and helplessness washed over me. I wanted to chase them, but was powerless. I could only crouch down and search for the ring. It took me a full half hour to find it in a flower. I carefully placed it in my pocket and turned to leave. It was too late to remake it. I could only find someone to see if it could be restored. But as I stepped out of the mansion, I heard a roar. I looked up to see a car hurtling straight toward me. My eyes widened. With a loud bang, I was thrown 10 meters, landing in a pool of my own blood. Leo, the driver, got out, feigning terror and crying. Oh no, I just started learning to drive. I mixed up the gas and the brake. I'm in big trouble. Mr. Winchester is bleeding so much. Scarlett, is he going to be okay?" Seeing the large crimson stain on the stone steps, Scarlett frowned. She pulled Leo into her arms, comforting him gently. "It's fine. He's always playing the victim. This is just another act. Ignore him. He'll get up when he's tired of the performance. Leo, don't be scared, don't cry." In my daze, hearing those words, a chill ran through me and tears streamed down my face. "Scarlett, I thought that even if you didn't love me after all our years as childhood friends, you had at least some affection for me. Yet, as to the Leo Vance, you could completely disregard my life. Why on earth did I ever love you in my past life?" I tried to call for help, But as I reached for my phone, my strength gave out. An endless darkness swept over me, swallowing me whole. When I opened my eyes again, it was the next day. A doctor soon entered with my chart, his voice stern. You were in a car accident, and weren't brought to the hospital in time. Allowed to bleed out like that before being admitted. Are you people trying to get him killed? Remembering the scene before I passed out, I could only manage a bitter, silent smile. What could I say? That my childhood sweetheart was too busy comforting another man to save my life. The doctor didn't press further. Where is your wife? Tell her to handle the admission paperwork. The anesthetic is still wearing off. She's overseas, I mumbled reflexively. Before the words were out, the door to my room was pushed open. Scarlett walked in and stared at me. The doctor turned to her. Who's overseas? Aren't you right here? You must be the one who signed the surgical consent form, right? Weren't you told that someone needs to be with the patient 24/7 while they're unconscious? Why did you disappear? Luckily, nothing went wrong. Here, go handle the paperwork. The doctor handed her the admission form and left. She's not my wife, I explained, though he was already gone. For some reason, Scarlett felt a pang of irritation. That's enough. You're already in the hospital, stop playing these games. She placed a bag on the table. Seeing the bandages on my head, her tone softened slightly. It's still hot, eat it while it's warm. It was a ribbon pastry. In the past, whenever I was sick and lost my appetite, Scarlett would drive for miles and wait in a long line to buy a pastry from this specific shop to cheer me up. But whether in this life or the last, ever since the engagement was announced, she had lost that gentleness. Staring at the steam rising from the bag, I made no move. I simply closed my eyes. A moment later, I heard Scarlett's hesitant voice. About yesterday. Leo didn't mean it. Don't make trouble for him. So it was still about Leo Hans. I opened my eyes again, a tearful smile on my face. Scarlett, he intentionally injured me. I will be reporting this to the police so he can face the punishment he deserves. Scarlett's expression hardened with anger. I already bought you food and apologized on his behalf. Calb, don't push your luck. Seeing she could no longer keep up the pretense, I met her gaze with my bloodshot eyes in a silent standoff. After what felt like an eternity, she rubbed her temples and sighed heavily. Fine. Let's both compromise. You're making such a fuss because you want me to marry you, right? Fine. I'll give you a wedding. Both our families are already preparing for it. The wedding you've dreamed of. I will be there. Are you happy now? Looking at her strained expression, I lowered my gaze, remembering the past. At that wedding in my previous life, Scarlett never showed up. She hated me, and she hated that wedding. Her willingness to attend now was only for Leo. Back then, even though she despised me, she still married me, likely forced by her family. After all, Leo was her only weakness, and as a housekeeper's son, he was easily controlled. But I wouldn't repeat that mistake in this lie. I said it plainly, there's no need. The bride was never you. Whether you go or not makes no difference. Scarlett was completely infuriated. She was about to erupt when her phone rang. Seeing the name Leo, she forgot everything else and turned to leave. As the door closed, I picked up my phone and dialed 911. After explaining the situation, I received an unexpected piece of news. Mr. Winchester, I'm sorry, but this incident was ruled an accident. Your fiance signed a letter of forgiveness at the scene, so we cannot file a case. Hearing this, I felt a knot tighten in my chest. I threw the phone against the wall, shattering it. Over the next few days, Scarlett visited the hospital almost daily, bringing flowers, fruit, and nourishing soups. She even arranged for several specialists to consult on my case. My emotions had stabilized, and I treated her as if she didn't exist. My cold demeanor seemed to unsettle her, but since I was the patient, she restrained herself. On the day of my discharge, I refused to get in her car. She finally lost her temper. I've already compromised. How long are you going to keep this up? If you continue, do you think I won't just call the whole thing off? I knew explaining would be useless. I just lowered my head, pretending not to hear. In Scarlett's eyes, this was me conceding. Her mood instantly improved, and her voice softened. Don't act up anymore. My aunt is coming back today. I'll take you to the family dinner. She's the head of the Donovan family, and tonight she will announce our engagement in front of everyone. I promised you, and I will be there. I'll give you a grand wedding. Are you satisfied? Only then did I look up at her, my voice, which had been cold for days, now holding a hint of joyful excitement. Your aunt. She's back. Seeing me return to my old self, Scarlett smirked as if she understood everything. A's. You're so desperate to marry me. Don't worry, I'll be at the wedding. Just stop with these games. Playing hard to get once or twice is one thing, but it gets old. She opened the car door as she spoke. I knew she wouldn't listen to any explanation, so I didn't bother. Getting into the passenger seat, I said, I want to go home and change. She must have thought I valued this dinner so much because I was deeply in love with her, and wanted to look my best to meet her aunt. She raised an eyebrow and, for once, agreed. Once I was ready, we went to the old Donovan estate. The banquet was crowded, and no one was surprised to see me. They greeted me, and I returned the pleasantries before finding a corner seat to wait for Eleanor's arrival. Not knowing how our reunion would unfold, my mind was a mess all evening, my heart pounding. Scarlett quickly noticed my strange behavior, and looked at me unhappily. I'm right here. What are you spacing out for? I'm warning you, I've agreed to marry you, so you better not make that face again, or I might change my mind at any moment. I wanted to retort, but the words died on my lips. She would soon find out the bride wasn't her. There was no point in wasting my breath. A few minutes later, the hall doors opened, and everyone turned in anticipation. But it wasn't Eleanor who appeared. It was Grandpa Donovan. He walked shakily onto the stage and announced, Eleanor was in a minor car accident before her flight, and couldn't make it. She's still overseas, and won't be able to join us tonight. Hearing this, I shot up from my seat, my voice filled with anxiety. Grandpa Donovan, how is she? Is it serious? He waved his hand reassuringly. It's nothing, Caleb, don't you worry. It won't affect the main event. Scarlett frowned and pulled me back down, whispering sternly, even if the marriage is set, you're not officially a Donovan son-in-law yet. Don't overstep by showing so much concern for my aunt. It's improper, and I won't stand for it. Just as I was about to set her straight, Grandpa Donovan cleared his throat, and the hall fell silent. I've gathered you all here today to announce the union between the Winchester and Donovan families. The wedding date is set for 7 days from now at South Pine Manor. The groom is the young master of the Winchester family, Caleb Winchester. During his booming announcement, Scarlett received a text from Leo. Whatever he sent made her expression change drastically. She hastily stood up and left, not hearing the rest of the announcement, and the bride is the head of the Donovan family. Eleanor Donovan, the unexpected choice sent a shockwave through the hall. Whispers erupted. Did I hear that right? It's Eleanor, not Scarlett. The chatter nearly threw the hall into chaos. But because of Eleanor's status, no one dared to say more, despite their shock. They all offered me their congratulations, which I accepted standing up. After the party, still worried about the accident, I sought out Grandpa Donovan. He clapped me on the shoulder, his face beaming. I've seen the photos Eleanor sent. It's just a small wound, it'll heal quickly. You just focus on the wedding, son. Only then did I feel at ease. Over the next few days, I stayed home preparing invitations and wedding details, ignoring the outside world. During that time, I received numerous texts from Scarlett's friends, none of which I opened. Until one night, I accidentally opened one and saw they were all about the same thing. Scarlett got hurt, and is in the hospital. City Center Hospital. Aren't you going to visit? Remember to bring the chicken soup she likes. What's with the silence? Still playing hard to get. Caleb, what game are you playing now? You pathetic lapdog. Stop putting on airs and get over here. Reading these messages, I found them laughable. I took a few seconds to type out a reply. If Scarlett is hurt, she has you, and she has Leo Vance. What does it have to do with me? After sending the message, I opened my social media. My feed was filled with Scarlett's selfies from her hospital bed. In my memory, she rarely posted anything. I was a little surprised but didn't dwell on it. I glanced at them, then closed the app and called a Donovan family member to ask about Eleanor. I had learned that she loved fish. The next day, I went to our family's pond to catch a few fish to practice my cooking. I wanted to make them for her in the future. I had just picked the perfect one when I turned to see Leo Vance, who had somehow gotten onto the property, walking towards me. He looked utterly innocent. Mr. Winchester, did you know that Scarlett got into a fight to protect me and hurt her hand? Are you mad at her? It's all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I know you're her fiancé, and I'm just the housekeeper's son. I am not worth her effort. Hearing his manipulative tone, I frowned and turned to leave. Leo grabbed my arm. Before I could process his actions, he flashed a provocative smile. I didn't understand the sudden change until he raised his hand and slapped himself several times, bursting into tears. Mr. Winchester, you can hit me, you can yell at me, I'll take it all. I just beg you not to be angry with her. As long as you go see her, I'll let you do whatever you want to me. I won't fight back. His bizarre behavior made my eyelid twitch. Realizing something was wrong, I tried to pull my hand away, but then I saw Scarlett, her face contorted with rage, leading a group of people who quickly surrounded us. Caleb Winchester, how dare you hit Leo? I already promised you a wedding, don't be so ungrateful. I looked at her coldly. I didn't touch him. I tried to leave, but Scarlett, blinded by rage, wasn't listening. I used to think you were just an arrogant rich kid, but now I see you're completely hopeless. She ordered her friends to hold Lee down, then took Leo's hand. Leo, I won't let you suffer any injustice. Hit him back. At first, Leo whimpered that he couldn't. But egged on by the crowd, he dropped the axe. He swung with all his might. A sharp crack echoed as his hand connected with my face. My cheek swelled instantly, and the unhealed gash on my forehead began to ooze blood. A burning pain shot through my nerves, and a ringing filled my ears. While no one was paying attention, Leo shoved me, still dazed, into the pond, then pretended to be the hero trying to save me. Scarlett shot me a cold look before turning to leave with her entourage. Don't bother with him. The water's too shallow for him to drown. He struggled alone in the water for a long time, completely exhausted before someone finally found me and pulled me out. That night, I came down with a high fever that didn't break by the next day. I drifted through dreams of my past life, muttering in my sleep. The day before the wedding, I received a text message containing only 4 words, I'm back. See you tomorrow. There was no name, no signature. But I knew it was her. Glimmer. My turbulent heart suddenly found its peace, and I slept soundly. At 1000 the next morning, the wedding motorcade arrived at the Winchester estate, cameras rolling. This high society union was being broadcast live to the public. When Scarlett saw me in my white tuxedo, a flash of astonishment crossed her eyes. For some reason, she felt a sense of déjà vu. She stood there, lost in thought, until someone beside her nudged her, and she extended her hand to me. But I didn't take it. I looked at her calmly, my voice flat. Scarlett, you're in the wrong place. You should be sitting in the guest section. Her face instantly darkened with anger. Here we go again. Don't you know this wedding is being live-streamed? Do you have to keep making a scene and humiliate both our families? I didn't argue. I walked downstairs alone. Just as I was about to get into the back of the limousine, her phone rang. A minute later, she slammed the car door shut, locking me inside. Something important came up. I can't make it to the wedding. You go tell our parents and cancel it. She expected me to be heartbroken and ashamed. But I just looked at her, unfazed. I already told you, it doesn't matter if you come or not. The bride isn't you. Seeing my indifference, a flicker of panic crossed her face, but she kept her voice low. I said, cancel the wedding. If the bride doesn't show up, do you want to become the laughingstock of the entire city? This time, I didn't bother to say another word. I simply told the driver to go. The magnificent motorcade sped away. Scarlett, with no time to deal with my tantrum, hailed a cab. When she arrived at a spa retreat outside the city, she found Leo Vance surrounded by her friends. She frowned. Didn't you say Leo was in danger? Her friends pulled her inside, laughing. We tricked you. How else were we going to get you to ditch the wedding? We just wanted to see what kind of Joe Caleb Winchester would make of himself today. Hearing this, Scarlett's expression shifted. She shoved their hands off her shoulders and turned to leave. But Leo grabbed her arm, his voice pleading. Scarlett, my head really hurts. Can you stay with me, please? Besides, it's too far to the wedding now. You wouldn't make it in time anyway. While she hesitated, her friends had already turned on the live stream. On the screen, everything was proceeding as planned. Seeing my refusal to cancel the ceremony, they all sneered. He's still going through with it. How embarrassing when the ceremony starts and there's no bride. Caleb Winchester is really desperate to get married, isn't he? He's gambling with the reputation of 2 families. This will be fun when it all blows up in his face. Scarlett didn't know what I was thinking, and her face grew dark. She was considering whether to call her family when a gasp went through the room. The wedding starting. Scarlett instinctively looked up. I was standing alone on the stage for a long time, the bride nowhere in sight. The live chat was flooded with question marks and comments. The bride ran away. The room she was in erupted with laughter. Scarlett had expected this. Her face was like ice, her voice laced with fury. Idiot. She couldn't watch anymore and reached to turn it off, but just as her finger hit the screen, she heard the MC's voice. And now, introducing the bride. The next second, the heavy doors swung open. Under the watchful eyes of thousands, Elena Donovan appeared, walking slowly down the aisle in a wedding gown adorned with sapphire blue diamonds. She faced the hall, her head slightly bowed, her cool, inscrutable eyes sweeping over the crowd, radiating an immense pressure. The entire hall fell silent, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The guests were stunned. No one had imagined that the bride in the Winchester-Donovan merger would be Elinor Donovan. The crowd that had been waiting for a spectacle was frozen like statues. Scarlett gritted her teeth, her voice filled with disbelief. "Oh, Elinor. It can't be. There must be some mistake." Her words snapped her friends out of their stupor. Right, you must be seeing things. How could CEO Donovan marry Caleb Winchester? They're a whole generation apart. He's not even good enough for Scarlett. How could he be worthy of Elinor? It's just a mistake. While they were still in denial, Elinor had reached the stage. The ceremony moved to the next phase, the vows. "Elinor Donovan, do you take Mr. Caleb Winchester to be your lawfully wedded husband, to love and to cherish him, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do you part?" Hearing Elinor's clear, resonant voice say, "I do," a dead silence fell over Scarlett's room. Everyone's jaw dropped, their eyes wide with disbelief. Scarlett's mind went blank, the blood in her veins feeling as if it were flowing backward. She grabbed her car keys, violently knocking over a table of drinks, and ran out like a madwoman, ignoring the calls behind her. Only one thought remained in her head, his fiance. He can only marry me. He absolutely cannot marry my aunt. She floored the gas, running more than a dozen red lights. By the time she arrived, the wedding was nearly over. Most of the guests had left, leaving only the close family of the Winchesters and Donovans. Scarlett's eyes scanned the crowd and immediately found me, surrounded by family, laughing and talking. She strode over and grabbed my hand, her voice filled with an unprecedented panic and tension. "You're coming with me." Before I could speak, our families interjected. "Scarlett, what are you doing? This is your aunt and Caleb's wedding. Why are you only showing up now that it's over? Caleb and Elinor have to go to the old estate for the tea ceremony soon. What are you making a scene for? It's one thing to be mischievous usually, but this is your aunt's wedding. If you keep this up, I'll deal with you myself." Her father snapped. Her aunts, uncles, and parents all scolded her. But Scarlett stubbornly tightened her grip, my wrist turning red under the pressure. I frowned, about to speak, when a gentle voice came from behind me. "Let him go." Just 2 words, but Scarlett reacted as if struck by lightning, instantly releasing her grip. She didn't even dare to turn her head, merely calling out stubbornly, "And Elinor." Elinor didn't respond. The crowd parted, and she walked to my side. She lifted my hand, gently rubbing my wrist, then glanced at Scarlett. "This is Caleb. My husband." The air froze. Scarlett viscerally rejected the title, but under Elinor's immense pressure, the hairs on her arms stood on end. The fear ingrained in her blood made her whisper, "Uncle-in-law." In front of both families, I responded smoothly, "From now on, we're all one family." Each word was like a stone pressing down on Scarlett's heart, suffocating her. She clenched her fists, staring at me, her dissatisfaction and anger palpable. But I didn't care. I took Elinor's hand, and asked her about the schedule. Elinor looked at her watch, then up at me, a rare hint of softness in her usually placid eyes. "Because of the delayed flight, we missed the morning tea ceremony. We're supposed to go to the old estate to make up for it. But you've been tired all day. We can handle these formalities tomorrow. How about we go home and rest first?" Hearing this, the Donovan elders chuckled. "Oh, getting married really changes a person. Our stone-cold Elinor knows how to dote on her husband now. Our youngest daughter is finally married. The whole family is here to celebrate." Grandpa Donovan's face was beaming. He waved his hand, his voice booming. "As long as you two respect and love each other, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if we drink this tea or not. Don't let us keep you newlyweds. Go on, go on." Amid the playful teasing, Elinor led me by the hand out of the hall. Watching our retreating figures, Scarlett's clenched fingers cracked. The suppressed anger and pain erupted as soon as everyone else had left. "What is going on? The merger between the Winchesters and the Donovans. Wasn't I the one marrying Caleb?" Her parents, who had been basking in joy, were startled by her outburst. They looked at their daughter unhappily. "What are you throwing a fit for now? 2 weeks ago, the Winchesters came over. Your uncle, aunt, and Caleb specifically asked to marry your aunt. They never once mentioned your name. How did it become you?" Leo Vance and the rest of Scarlett's friends, arriving late, walked in just in time to hear the conversation. Seeing them, and especially Leo, Scarlett's parents immediately understood why she had been absent from the wedding. Their faces darkened. "You ditched your aunt's wedding to run around with these delinquents. What kind of behavior is that? Today, both the Winchester and Donovan families were here in full force, except for you. If it weren't for Caleb's father calming him down, your grandfather would have dealt with you severely. From now on, Caleb is your uncle-in-law. You will show him respect. Don't do anything out of line. If your aunt gets angry, no one can protect you. Amid the scolding, Scarlett's face grew pale. She had never imagined that one day I would become her uncle-in-law. She closed her eyes in despair. Every moment she had mocked replayed in her mind. It was only then that Scarlett understood. It was all real. I had never lied to her. She had been so immersed in the memory of my obsessive pursuit that she had completely missed the change in me. From the day of the engagement, I was no longer the same person. But just the other day, I was still supposedly desperate to marry her. How could I have changed into a different person overnight? Perhaps it wasn't the person who changed, but the attitude. Her past actions had hurt me too deeply, so I decided to let go. Marrying her aunt was just another one of my schemes to win her back. Countless thoughts swirled in Scarlett's mind, making her feel as if her head would explode. She tore at her hair madly. Seeing her like this, a heartbroken Leo Vance wrapped his arms around her, constantly comforting her. Scarlett's father turned to leave, but her mother, seeing this scene, had a look of utter disgust. A housekeeper's son, dreaming of climbing into the Donovan family. Even though I knew of Eleanor's feelings for me, we had interacted so little in both lives that being alone with her still felt a bit awkward. Eleanor sensed my mood and spoke gently. Everyone calls me C.O. Donovan. I hadn't expected her to speak first. I nodded slightly. My grandparents call me Orion. You can call me that too. As I said it, my ears turned red. I suddenly remembered the love letters I had glimpsed. A glint appeared in Eleanor's eyes, and a soft smile played on her lips. Orion, for the brilliant constellation, right? For some reason I detected a hint of amusement in her voice. I couldn't help but tilt my head, curious. The moment our eyes met, I was captivated. In the next second, she said something that blew my mind. Orion is nice, and Caleb is good too. But I think husband is the best, because it's exclusive. Hearing those last two words, my heart pounded like a drum. The car was air-conditioned, but I was sweating, my palms slick as I clasped them together. Eleanor chuckled softly, and thoughtfully lowered the temperature, handing me a handkerchief. I took it and wiped my brow as she continued. Although there's a generational gap and I am 7 years older, we're still close enough in age to be considered peers. The driver, who had worked for the Donovan family for over 30 years, couldn't help but interject. C.O. Donovan, what kind of math is that? That's quite a stretch. Eleanor glanced at him in the rear-view mirror, her smile radiant, but a little helpless. Uncle Leo, don't tease me. All right, I'll shut up. You continue. Eleanor turned her gaze back to me, even though we didn't interact much before. From now on, we're husband and wife. You don't need to be afraid of me. Just like any other married couple, if you have something to say, just say it. I will listen to my husband's opinions and fulfill my duties as a wife. This was the first time I'd heard her speak at such length, and the first time I'd seen her chat so relaxedly in public. For a moment, it felt surreal. Anything I want to say? I asked, unable to help myself. When Eleanor nodded, I gathered my courage. Why did you agree to marry me? Eleanor paused for a few seconds before asking a question of her own. I can answer that. But first, I want to ask you something. When it came to the marriage, why did you choose me? Now it was my turn to be stumped. Fortunately, I quickly came up with a few reasons. I'm the sole heir of the Winchester family, and you're the head of the Donovan family. A marriage alliance should be a union of equals. Plus, our age difference isn't that great, so we're bound to have things in common. We won't have to worry about compatibility after marriage. And you're so exceptional. I chose the best person to ask. If you actually agreed, wouldn't that be like winning the lottery? Eleanor knew I was just making things up, that these weren't my real thoughts. But there were some things she truly needed to clarify. After I finished my rambling explanation, she pressed, in your mind, was I your first choice for the marriage alliance, and Scarlett your second? The car fell silent. At the mention of her name, I remembered those dark days. Eleanor noticed I didn't want to talk about her, and was about to change the subject when she heard my low voice. No. 2 firm words. I looked up and met her gaze. If you hadn't agreed, I would have found a way to cancel the engagement altogether. Hearing my answer, Eleanor let out a soft sigh of relief. She rubbed her fingertips together, and asked 2 more questions that were very important to her. Is Scarlett not good enough? Didn't you like her a lot? Her voice was so quiet it was almost a whisper, filled with a complex, unreadable emotion. I'd understood. I knew why she was asking, and I knew my answer would affect how we lived together from now on. Eleanor was a proud, restrained woman who would never allow herself to be a substitute for someone else. In my past life, those feelings were buried for over 30 years, only discovered after her death, which showed her terrifying level of self-control. If she knew I had been reborn, and had chosen her only to avoid repeating my past mistakes, she would certainly continue to hide her feelings. That wasn't what I wanted. So I lied. I only ever liked her face. I thought, since I had to get married, marrying a beautiful and accomplished woman wouldn't be so bad. So I pursued her. You're so brilliant. You must have known the person she likes isn't me, right? I'm not as capable as you. I only found out recently. I'm the heir to the Winchester fortune. How could I tolerate my wife having another man in her heart? So I decided to drop her without hesitation. You are 100,000 times better than her. I figured I'd take a shot. After all, everyone in this city knows that when Caleb Winchester wants a woman, he's shameless and will stop at nothing. Though my voice was light, Eleanor could see the unshed tears in my eyes. After years in the business world, she was an expert at reading people. But facing my lie, she couldn't bring herself to say a harsh word. She only wanted to pull me into her arms. And she did. After all, we were husband and wife now. She gently patted my back, her voice softer than a spring breeze. That's not shamelessness. That's courage. That simple sentence was like a balm on the jagged scars that had been carved into my heart for years. As my emotions settled, I felt embarrassed thinking about what had just happened. Eleanor spoke first. Weren't you curious why I agreed to the marriage? Like you said, it was a union of equals. Also, you're a good person. And I'm getting older, it's time to settle down. I knew instantly she was just brushing me off. In my past life, she had resisted her family's pressure to marry until she was 35, all for me. Later, I muttered. A flicker of surprise crossed Eleanor's face. She didn't argue, just nodded slightly. You lied to me too. Late that night, Scarlett was drinking relentlessly. She drank until she threw up, but still wouldn't put down her glass. Leo, by her side, pleaded with a hoarse voice, Scarlett, please stop drinking. Any more and you'll end up in the hospital. Don't hurt yourself over a shameless social climber. Please. Hearing this, Scarlett's hazy eyes cleared a little. She grabbed Leo by the collar, her breath thick with alcohol. Shameless. Social climber. He only married my aunt to spite me. We've known each other for over a decade. You think I don't know him? All his little tricks are just to get me to pay attention to him. I'm going to find him right now. All I have to do is snap my fingers, and he'll come running back. With that, she shoved the bottle away and staggered toward the door. Leo bit his lip, his face a mask of resentment, and followed her. A taxi dropped them at South Shore Villa. Scarlett punched in the security code and stormed in. The silent night was shattered by her incessant pounding on the door. The butler opened it and, seeing who it was, quickly helped her inside. About to go upstairs to inform Eleanor. The cool night air sobered Scarlett slightly. She insisted on making a scene, following the butler and banging on the bedroom door. Eleanor, woken up, opened the door. Seeing Scarlett's drunken state, her face immediately turned cold. Take her to sub her up. The butler quickly led Scarlett to a bathroom. The hallway was left with only Leo. He kept his head down, trying to make himself invisible, his voice trembling. Co Donovan. This. Hello. Eleanor glanced at him, about to ask what had happened, when she heard footsteps behind her. What's all the noise? Seeing me emerge, rubbing my eyes, the coldness in Eleanor's eyes warmed slightly. She took my hand. Oriane, you go back to sleep. I'll handle this. Hearing the familiar voice, Leo instinctively looked up. He saw the man Scarlett had been talking about all night being sheltered by another woman. He thought about how all his meticulous plans had failed, and how the man he hated most was now living the life he most envied. Leo was consumed by rage, and couldn't stop himself from stirring up trouble. Mr. Winchester, our miss knew you were getting married today, and was heartbroken all night. No matter how angry you are at her, you shouldn't use Co Donovan as a shield to hurt her like this. She already agreed to marry you. How could you go back on your word? In just a few days, Leo's manipulative, instigating skills had clearly improved. I raised an eyebrow, about to speak, when I heard Eleanor's low, sharp voice. Such a clever tongue. Tomorrow, I'll have to ask my sister-in-law how she trained such a sharp-witted servant. At the mention of her sister-in-law, a shiver ran down Leo's spine. Scarlett's parents had always disliked him. They had tried to fire his whole family several times, only to be stopped by Scarlett. If Elinor herself reported him, not even the heavens could save his family. He stammered in a panic. No, that's not it, Co. Donovan. Everything I said is true. Mr. Winchester always wanted to marry my miss. Everyone in the city knows. Before he could finish, I flexed my wrist and delivered 2 sharp slaps. I put all my strength into them, and Leo saw stars, his cheeks swelling instantly. Stunned and disoriented, he collapsed to the floor, screaming uncontrollably, "How dare you hit me?" I blew on my stinging palm and glanced down at him. One was for hitting me with your car. The other was for tonight. Is that so hard to understand? Hearing this, Eleanor's gaze hardened. She looked down at the man on the floor with an expression that sent a chill through Leo. It wasn't anger or contempt, but the detached indifference one has for an ant. In that instant, his scalp tingled, and for the first time, he felt death was near. Just as he was about to break, the butler emerged with a mostly sober Scarlett. She saw me and stumbled forward, reaching for my hand, but Eleanor swatted it away. Years of being a pampered princess made Scarlett want to lash out. But when she looked up and saw the familiar face, her annoyance instantly morphed into fear. Eleanor. With this niece who was not much younger than her, Eleanor had never pulled rank. But tonight, she was in a foul mood and showed no mercy, dressing her down in front of the staff. Scarlett, you come to my house drunk and disorderly, and you bring a dog that bites. Have you lost your memory? Have you forgotten what he said about the Donovan family not raising useless people? Her words plunged the villa into an icy silence. Everyone held their breath, trying to shrink away, afraid of catching the matriarch's wrath. Except for me. It was the first time I'd seen Eleanor so angry, and the first time I'd seen the arrogant Scarlett so thoroughly disciplined. I couldn't help but admire it. It was true that for every force, there is an equal and opposite one. Now that I had someone backing me up, I didn't need to hold back. I said it plainly, Scarlett, from now on, you have to call me uncle-in-law. So there are some things I need to make clear. I want no part of this tragic love story between you and Leo Vance. Whether you two break up or get together has nothing to do with me. Don't show up in front of me unless it's absolutely necessary. I have a family now, and I am your elder. When we do meet, I expect you to maintain a minimum level of decorum. I don't need reverence, but basic etiquette is a must, so people don't gossip that the Donovan family doesn't know how to raise their children. Right? My words made the veins on Scarlett's forehead bulge with anger. She was about to retort, when another voice made her freeze. Did you hear him? Seeing Scarlett bow her head in submission, Eleanor, also tired, left one last sentence before taking my hand and heading back to our room. If you heard him, then leave. Do you want me to have the staff escort you out? Scarlett didn't dare linger. She grabbed Leo and fled downstairs. The villa was quiet again. I yawned. Just as I lay down, Eleanor curled up against me. What happened with the car accident? Was the wound on your forehead from then? Tell me. I didn't want her to worry. I tried to laugh it off. It's nothing, it's all in the past. See, I am perfectly fine. Eleanor was already on her phone, arranging a full check for me at the hospital. She frowned and cut me off. An injury is not a small matter. Hearing the worry and concern in her voice, my nose tingled. I told her everything that had happened, down to the last detail. The next afternoon, Scarlett was groggily shaken awake. She held her throbbing head, about to snap, when she saw a sobbing Leo Vance. Scarlett, your mother wants to kick my parents out. Kick my whole family out of the Donovan estate. You have to do something. The hazy memories from the night before vanish. She shot up, her voice filled with disbelief. That's impossible. She grabbed her phone to call her mother. The call connected, and as soon as she stated her purpose, her mother hung up. This is not negotiable. Hearing the finality in her voice, Leo cried even harder. His parents pleaded with her. Miss, please, talk to your mother. My family hasn't done anything wrong. Leo just wants to be with you. You know how he feels. Seeing his breakdown, Scarlett's heart ached. After finding out her mother's location, she took the entire Vance family to the old estate. The normally quiet estate was bustling. Scarlett didn't know what was happening inside and was about to wait for her mother to come out. But unable to stand Leo's begging, she stormed in. The moment the living room doors burst open, everyone in the hall turned. The entire Donovan clan and my parents were there. Eleanor and I were kneeling before Grandpa Donovan, serving tea. Scarlett realized it was not the right time and was about to leave, but Leo's mother, lacking any sense of tact, wiped her tears, knelt before Scarlett's parents, and started wailing. Madam, sir, we have served you for over a decade. We watched the young miss grow up. Why are you kicking our whole family out without a word? What did we do wrong? Tell us, and we'll change. Being publicly shamed by a servant, Mrs. Donovan's face turned black. That's enough. We'll talk about this at home. This is the old estate. You're being unreasonable, Mr. Donovan added. Hearing it was the old estate, Mrs. Vance cried even harder, pleading her case before Grandpa Donovan. The auspicious tea ceremony turned into a courtroom. The Vances begged Grandpa Donovan for justice. Scarlett's parents were furious but couldn't stop them, because of decorum. Grandpa Donovan, always kind to his staff, insisted on getting to the bottom of it. Seeing her grandfather personally intervene, Scarlett knew things had escalated. She didn't dare speak, frantically signaling to Leo. But Leo, lost in his grief and thinking she was abandoning him, joined his mother in kowtowing repeatedly. Just as the situation was about to become unsalvageable, Eleanor casually picked up a teacup and threw it in front of the Vances. The crash echoed, and shattering porcelain silenced the chaotic hall. After helping me to a seat, Eleanor walked to her grandfather, bowed slightly, and said, "Father, Uncle and Aunt Winchester, please go upstairs for some tea. Leave this to me. I will give you all a satisfactory answer." With her assurance, Grandpa Donovan led the other family members away. The living room was left with just the core Donovan family. Eleanor sat in the head seat, looking down at the three kneeling figures, her voice devoid of emotion. "Leo Vance, I remember you being quite articulate. Why don't you explain everything on behalf of your family?" Facing the intimidating matriarch, Leo was terrified. But he knew this was his only chance. He wiped his tears and recounted his version of events. The Donovan relatives and the staff at the door all looked on with disdain. It's the 21st century. It's just getting fired, not like you can't find another job. Is all this drama necessary? Only Eleanor's expression remained unchanged. She had her siblings summon all the household staff. In front of everyone, she asked their opinion on firing the Vances. At this, the previously silent staff spoke up, one after another. "I think Madam did the right thing. Leo Vance used the young Mrs. Favor to act like a tyrant in the house." "Yeah, I agree. Mrs. Vance brags every day about how her son is going to marry up, and pushes all her work onto us. She's lazy. Mr. Vance is the same. He even steals gifts meant for the family, and when caught, he claims the young miss gave him permission. It's happened countless times." As the accusations piled up, the Vances' faces turned ashen. Scarlett was fuming, but after hearing everything, her expression became strange. The other Donovans were either furious or looked on coldly. No one sympathized with the three of them. I watched coolly, sipping my tea, a cold glint in my eyes. This scene had played out in my past life too. But back then, there was no wedding ceremony. Eleanor was overseas, and Scarlett didn't serve tea with me. She had stormed in with the Vances. Grandpa Donovan, in his old age, was moved by their tears and had scolded my in-laws on the spot. Though they apologized, they later found an excuse to fire the Vances and demand compensation, plunging the family into debt. They had to marry Leo off to a creditor to settle the debts. 3 years later, his wife died, and my fate changed from that point on. Reborn, I changed my bride. The story changed with it. In this similar scene, with Eleanor in charge, I believe things would be different. And I was right. After her parents explained the situation to everyone, Eleanor announced the verdict. "You've all heard the testimony. The evidence is likely at the Vances' home. Given the circumstances, I suggest you report them to the police for theft and demand compensation. What do you think?" Her words snapped her parents to their senses. They immediately called the police. When they learned the value of the stolen and damaged items was astronomical, Leo's parents panicked, begging for mercy. But Scarlett's parents, having been humiliated, were ruthless. Hearing the approaching sirens, Leo crawled to Scarlett, crying and pleading. But Scarlett, having witnessed everything, felt no pity. The way she looked at Leo was no longer gentle. The words died in her throat. She stared in disbelief as Leo's father ran into the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and killed himself. Just as Leo's scream tore through the air, his mother, in despair, followed suit. Crimson blood splattered across the marble floor. The surveillance cameras recorded everything clearly. The police cleaned up the scene, took statements, and removed the bodies and Leo from the premises. Scarlett clung to him, refusing to let go. Leo collapsed into her arms, his eyes vacant. She was truly heartbroken and tried to negotiate with the police to wait until he stabilized. Eleanor stopped her. She handed a flash drive to an officer. "Officer John, this footage clearly shows Leo Vance involved in the attempted murder of my husband. I request you open an investigation." Hearing this, the catatonic Leo snapped to his senses, screaming uncontrollably, It wasn't me. It was an accident. The police already investigated. Scarlett already signed the letter of forgiveness for me. You can't press charges, he argued frantically. Scarlett also wanted to help clear his name, but Eleanor gave her no chance. Officer John, my husband and the signer of that letter are merely acquaintances. A forgiveness letter signed by an non-relative has no legal standing. And it is my husband himself who is requesting this investigation. Do you understand? Officer John's expression grew serious. He formally accepted the evidence and prepared to take Lee away. Scarlett tried to intervene again, but was stopped cold by Eleanor's next words. If you walk out that door today, you will no longer be at Donovan. His family does not harbor accomplices to attempted murder. You were present when the incident occurred. Your name is on that agreement. The police will certainly summon you for questioning. I expect you to tell the whole truth. Whether you are innocent or an accomplice, let the police and the courts decide. Scarlett's face turned white as a sheet. She didn't dare say another word. Seeing her in action, Leo lost his last shred of hope. He violently tore himself away from her and slapped her across the face, his voice dripping with despair. Scarlett Donovan, you are pathetic. I was wrong about you. No wonder Caleb Winchester can't stand you. You deserve to be abandoned by him, to be used by me. Let me tell you, I never liked you. Every sweet word I said was just to trick you into giving me money and gifts. That's all you're good for. Besides your money and your pretty face, you are useless. If I could do it all over again, I'd rather marry a maid than look at you twice. For the first time, Scarlett realized the man she had loved and protected for years was just a common gold digger. She shoved Leo away, her voice filled with rage and pain. Get out. The police led the still, struggling man out of the estate. As the doors closed, Scarlett felt her strength drain away. She turned, her eyes meeting mine. Seeing me, the gloom in her heart deepened. She opened her mouth to call my name, but I didn't respond. I held out my hand to Eleanor, my voice gentle but distant. That's settled for now. We should go offer tea to my parents. They must be getting anxious. Watching our two figures lean on each other as we left, the light in Scarlett's eyes slowly faded, her heart itching with a pain so intense it brought tears to her eyes. She felt as if something was being ripped from her very being. On the way home, Eleanor was engrossed in my medical report, which her secretary had just sent from the hospital. She read it 6 or 7 times before she was finally satisfied that there were no abnormalities. I was sitting beside her and tossed the report onto the seat. I told you I was fine. You insisted on dragging me for a checkup this morning. Are you satisfied now? I had to see it for myself, she said softly. It was just a little extra time. Her logic was sound. I nodded, then remembered something important. When did you get the surveillance footage from Scarlett's villa? This morning, she answered crisply. I was a bit confused. She didn't know. She didn't need to know. All her assets have to go through me anyway. A strange thought flickered in my mind, but it was gone before I could grasp it, leaving only a lingering, unsettling feeling. But with everything resolved, I didn't want to dwell on it. I turned to Eleanor with a spark of interest. Want to try my cooking? She looked at me, her voice filled with surprise. You can cook. At 35, I certainly hadn't known how. But in my past life, after my daughter was born, I learned a lot from a nutritionist. In front of Eleanor, however, I played it down. Just a little. In the kitchen, I managed to burn a fresh sea bass to a crisp, filling the room with smoke. The confidence on my face turned to embarrassment as I scrambled for an excuse. I only know how to make nutritious meals. This is my first time frying fish. It's normal to mess it up, right? Eleanor tried to hold back her laughter, agreeing completely. Then let's stick to nutritious meals from now on. We'll eat healthy, live to be 100, and grow old together. Her words were meant to be sweet, but they filled me with a sense of sadness. In my past life, I had only lived to be 30, and she had died in the same year. Our combined ages didn't even reach 100. Though our fates had changed in this life, the future was still unknown. Seeing my distraction, Eleanor guessed I was thinking of something unpleasant and quickly changed the subject. But if you don't know how to cook fish, why did you suddenly want to try? Her question caught me off guard. I mumbled evasively, then, slightly annoyed, wiped the soot from my hand onto her pristine white shirt. I heard you liked it, so I wanted to make it for you. If I'd known you wouldn't appreciate it, I wouldn't have bothered. Eleanor gently wiped my hands while cooing. Even if it's burnt, if my husband makes it, I'll love it. How about we get a few more fish? I'll help you with the heat. We'll definitely succeed today. Her encouragement boosted my confidence. I rolled up my sleeves and got back to it. After a few hours and 3 more ruined fish, I finally managed to produce a pot of milky white fish soup. Eleanor immediately took a picture and posted it to her social media. Her first ever post, husband's first bowl of fish soup. Within minutes, the likes and comments hit 99. When did he learn to cook? We had no idea, so jealous. Who's going to make me fish soup? Next time, let's see what else he can do. Scarlett also saw the post. The corner of the photo showed a hand wearing a ring, and the weight in her heart became unbearable. That ring should have been hers. That bowl of soup should have been made for her. But now, it was all for naught. She had nothing but a cold, empty room. Where did it all go wrong? Scarlett couldn't figure it out and could only drown her sorrows in alcohol. Drunk, she called me. It took 4 tries for the call to go through. All she could hear on the other end was soft breathing. She listened in a daze, her voice low and mournful. Caleb, I was wrong. I shouldn't have ignored you again and again. I'm sorry. I know you still have me in your heart. Marrying my aunt was just to make me angry, right? Divorce her and come back to me, okay? I promise. I don't care about the wedding or the ring anymore. From now on, I'll be completely devoted to you. She whispered all the things she had been afraid to say, but there was no response from the other end. The prolonged silence made her anxious. Caleb, why aren't you saying anything? Bonnie, where's the hairdryer? A familiar voice drifted through the phone. Scarlett's breath caught in her throat. A second later, she heard Eleanor's voice. Just a minute, I'll get it for you. After her gentle reply, her voice turned to ice. Scarlett, your priority right now should be going to the police station to explain yourself, not harassing your uncle-in-law, the man you've hurt time and time again. Beep, beep, beep. The line went dead, and Scarlett's heart sank into darkness. On the other side, Eleanor was drying my hair. I was playing on my phone and asked casually, who was that? Eleanor nodded, answering honestly. Scarlett, drunk again and causing trouble. I gave her a piece of my mind on your behalf. Using the phrase gave her a piece of my mind with Scarlett felt a bit strange. But thinking about our current family relations, a wonderfully bizarre feeling washed over me. I couldn't help but ask, it sounds like you do that often. But you're only 6 years older than her. Seeing the curiosity on my face, Eleanor smiled faintly. In kindergarten, she was being naughty and pulled a chair out from under our grandfather, causing him to fall and break a bone. He was in the hospital for half a month. I gave her a good scolding then, and ever since, she's been like a mouse seeing a cat whenever she's around me. So that was it. A psychological shadow. I finally understood. She's that scared of you. What do you think of her? Eleanor's hand paused, a complex mix of emotions flashing in her eyes. After a long moment, she answered carefully, too impulsive, not mature enough, not suited for great responsibility. A truly incisive evaluation. I was impressed. I couldn't resist asking what she thought of me. This time, she hesitated even longer. Intelligent, rational, decisive. Most importantly, a good judge of character. Living 2 lives. This was the first time I'd heard anyone describe me with those words. But only I knew they were lessons learned through blood and tears. Years of a cold, abusive marriage, the tragic death of my daughter. I pulled Eleanor closer, listening to her heartbeat, and slowly pushed those feelings away. This was all a new beginning. Time passed. On the first snowfall of the year, Leo Vance was sentenced to 6 years in prison for theft, attempted murder, and other charges. When the news reached Scarlett, she was already drunk, and paid it no mind. For the past 6 months, she had been lost in a haze of alcohol, rarely sober, and deaf to all advice. At the end of every drunken night, she would mumble my name. On New Year's Eve, Eleanor and I returned from our honeymoon for the family's New Year's banquet. At the dinner, she glowed as she announced to the whole family, I am pregnant. The doctor says it's twins. Amid the chorus of congratulations, Scarlett dropped her wine glass. All eyes turned to her. Her face was pale as she forced out a congratulations. Every second became unbearable. Just 10 minutes later, she made an excuse and hastily left. That night, she didn't sleep or drink. She just sat in a corner of her room, lost in memories. As dawn broke, she stared blankly at the gifts I had given her, displayed in her cabinet. A jar of 999 paper stars I had folded for her 15th birthday. A model I spent half a month building for her 16th. A bracelet I designed myself for her 17th. Her eyes grew red. She covered her face, tears streaming through her fingers. In that moment, she finally understood, you don't know what you have until it's gone. Though the babies were only 3 months along, Eleanor was already picking out names. She listed over a dozen, for both boys and girls, complete with nicknames, and showed them to me. I put down my parenting book and glanced at the list. One name caught my eye. I picked up the paper and stared at the two words, Ilarame, my vision blurring. How did you think of this name? Though she didn't know why I was sad, Eleanor immediately comforted me. You don't like it? Then we won't use it. Let's look at the others. She reached for the paper to throw it away. I stopped her, holding it to my chest. No, we'll use this one. I'm sure we'll have a daughter. We'll call her Ilarame. My certainty was so strong. Eleanor handed me another piece of paper. Then let's call the other one Lyra Nova. Hearing this, I realized something was off. In my past life, my daughter's name was chosen by Grandpa Donovan. But hearing her come up with this pair of names, it suddenly struck me that Ilarame seemed to have been her choice. I remembered taking my daughter to the old estate to visit my grandfather. Eleanor had just returned from abroad, and we met at the door. I greeted her and was about to leave when she called out to me, "You're taking her home alone. Where's the other one?" At that time, Scarlett was still reeling from the news of Leo's marriage, drinking herself into a stupor every night. I hadn't seen her in weeks. My heart itched, but I still covered for her. She's been busy with work lately. I didn't want to bother her, so I came alone. Even after all these years, I still remembered the look in Eleanor's eyes, then dark and tinged with a hint of pain. I didn't understand it at the time. Thinking back on my past life now, my heart was a tangled mess. We had both been so stubborn, so unwilling to show our true feelings. We had missed so many years. 9 months later, Eleanor gave birth to twin girls. We decided that our eldest, Ilarame Donovan, would one day inherit the Donovan family business, and our youngest, Lyra Nova Winchester, would inherit the Winchesters. During Eleanor's pregnancy, I had been by her side, helping her manage her work for the next 6 months. So when the babies were born, she had plenty of time to care for them, with my mother's help. After her confinement month, we took the babies to the old estate. Grandpa Donovan was overjoyed, splitting his late wife's jewelry between his two great-granddaughters. The other Donovan elders prepared lavish gifts. Scarlett's parents even transferred ownership of their private amusement park to their granddaughters as a welcoming present. I remembered that park had originally been in Scarlett's name. I subconsciously glanced at her and realized that in the few months I hadn't seen her, she had become so gaunt she was almost unrecognizable. Perhaps sensing my gaze, she looked up, her bloodshot eyes blinking a few times, before she turned away. Eleanor followed my gaze and frowned slightly. In our year of marriage, she had rarely asked about Scarlett, but she heard things. Though she disliked Scarlett's spoiled nature, she was still her brother's daughter, and Eleanor was the head of the family. She couldn't let Scarlett continue to waste away. So after the family dinner, Eleanor called her into the study. I don't know what they talked about, but when Scarlett came out, her color had returned, and there was a spark of joy in her eyes. Seeing her revitalized, her parents and grandfather were relieved. On the way home, I couldn't contain my curiosity. "Ani, what did you two talk about in the study?" Eleanor was buckling our daughters into their car seats. She took my hand. I gave her the Riverbend project. "That's it." I was confused. Seeing my expression, she patiently explained she's been drinking all day because she's used to a life of luxury, and is stuck in a dead-end love affair she can't escape. Giving her something to do, keeping her busy, will leave her no time to wallow. Otherwise, if she gets stuck on something and can't get out, her parents will worry. Winter passed, and spring came. Year after year, the two girls grew, learning to babble mama and data. Since getting married, Eleanor, once known as a workaholic, started keeping regular hours, leaving the office at 5 p.m. sharp. Every day after work, the first thing she did was, as I had instructed, buy all sorts of pastries and toys, and bring home a bouquet of flowers. Before she even reached the door, the two little girls would hear her footsteps and come running. "Mommy, Mommy." The powerful Sia was completely defenseless against her two daughters' attacks. One moment she was pushing one on the swing, the next she was playing trains with the other, never getting a moment's rest. After 4 or 5 years of this, Eleanor couldn't take it anymore. As soon as the girls were old enough, she sent them to kindergarten. On the first day of school, after waving goodbye and watching their small figures disappear behind the gate, she let out a sigh of relief and pulled me away. Seeing her in such a hurry, I clicked my tongue and teased. I seemed to recall someone saying that having two daughters meant she wanted to be with them every moment as they grew up, even talking about opening a kindergarten at home. Just a few years and you can't handle it. Eleanor rubbed her temples, regretting her past naivety. "You know our personalities. One of them is more mischievous than the other. On that subject, I said, looking at her seriously, aren't you the one who spoils them too much? I say a few words, and you jump to their defense. How can they ever settle down? You brought this on yourself. Chastest, Eleanor didn't dare say a word. I got into the driver's seat, and entered an address into the navigation. Let's go on a date. The weather is beautiful. I heard they opened a new hot spring resort over there. The autumn scenery should be nice and relaxing. After soaking in the hot spring, we snuggled by the window, gazing at the green pines and red leaves that covered the mountains. Eleanor patiently and meticulously adjusted the towel around me, looking into her gentle eyes, so close to mine it all felt surreal. After a while, she gently tapped my nose. What is it? Lost in thought again. I thought for a long time before asking, that year, if I hadn't married you, would you have married someone else? Her answer was so definitive it surprised me. Why? She rested her head on my shoulder, her cool eyes looking into the distance. If it hadn't been for the arranged marriage, I would have never considered getting married. I knew she was telling the truth, but I also knew she wasn't telling the whole truth. She had omitted the and you between it hadn't been, and for the arranged marriage. She wouldn't have married anyone but me. I had known the answer in my past life, so I was certain. But in this life, we had been married for years. Our children were growing up, yet she still kept her secret love for me hidden. I couldn't help but admire her self-control. For the twins' 6th birthday, my grandfather wanted to throw a big party. I got them 2 days off from school. The 4 of us were getting ready. The party was about to start. But the cake we had ordered days ago still hadn't arrived. Eleanor wanted to drive to the bakery to check on it. I told her not to go, that we could have the staff whip something up. But she knew how much the girls had been looking forward to their castle cake and didn't want to disappoint them. My doting grandfather also told her to go, just to be quick. I still refused. Eleanor was about to persuade me when she saw my hand trembling slightly, and the tension in my eyes. She softened and put down the keys. It's a happy birthday. What's the matter? If you don't want me to go, then I won't. Cheer up, okay? I slowly calmed down, but didn't let go of her hand. Because I remembered clearly, in my past life, Eleanor had gotten into a car accident on the girl's 6th birthday. In this life, though the story had changed, I didn't dare take the risk. I had experienced the pain of losing a loved one once. This time, no matter what, I had to keep her by my side. When they learned the castle cake couldn't be delivered, the 2 girls pouted and went out to the garden to swing, sighing dramatically. Scarlett, who had just arrived, saw them and smiled gently. She walked over with a carefully prepared gift about to surprise them, when she overheard them whispering. Daddy, why won't you let Mommy go get our cake? I don't know. But he said no. Mommy always listens to Daddy. Well, next year we'll have Mommy buy a new one. We'll be a year older, so the castle will be even prettier and bigger. Hearing this, Scarlett's heart stirred. What cake? The 2 girls saw her and rushed into her arms, calling, Auntie. They then told her all about the cake in their childish voices. Scarlett nodded and gave them their gifts, ruffling their hair. You 2 be good and stay here. I'll go get the cake for you. But the girls didn't immediately agree. They held her hands. Oh, Auntie. Mommy said we're having a regular cake today. If Mommy finds out, she'll be mad. That's right, Auntie. If you go now, you won't be back in time to blow out the candles with us. Then we won't have a cake at all. Looking at the 2 mischievous children, Scarlett briefly thought she was seeing 2 miniature versions of me. When I was little, I used to follow her around, calling her name incessantly. She still remembered. It was just a pity that things could never go back. She closed her eyes to hide her emotions and forced a smile. It's okay. Just don't tell Mommy. I'll go get the cake. You just have to save me a piece of birthday cake, okay? The 3 of them Pinky promised. Scarlett grabbed her keys and left. Before she went, she subconsciously looked back and saw me leading the 2 children into the living room. I still looked like I was in my 20s. Time seemed to have left no trace on me. Scarlett knew everything was different. I no longer belonged to her. Only when I was out of sight did she warily get into her car. The sky was overcast. She watched the distance on her navigation app shrink. Waiting at a traffic light, she looked up. A dilapidated old car swerved from the right lane and pulled up beside her, the window rolling down. She turned her head and saw a gaunt, skeletal face. Her eyes instantly went wide. A second later, a powerful force slammed into her car. The window shattered, and blood gushed out. The intense pain was followed by an endless, pale haze. Before she lost consciousness, Scarlett used the last of her strength to rip the car's shattered screen from its dashboard. A faint song was still playing. I once had you, and it truly breaks my heart. I learned about Scarlett's car accident 8 hours after it happened. That night, our family was still at the old estate. The 2 girls were asleep, still mumbling about saving a piece of cake in their dreams. My wife and I thought they were still thinking about the castle cake and were discussing ordering a new one the next day when Eleanor's phone rang. The smile on her face instantly vanished. She quickly threw on a coat. My brother said Scarlett was in an accident. I'm going to the hospital to check on her. Callum, you stay here with the kids and my father. Don't let this get out. I was stunned. I had thought that keeping Eleanor at home would avert the disaster. But I never expected Scarlett to get into an accident on the same day, for the exact same reason. Both Donovan family members. These coincidences made me suspicious. Was this the inescapable hand of fate, or was someone pulling the strings? If it was fate, why did Scarlett bear the burden of Eleanor's destiny? If it was a man-made accident, who held such a deep grudge against the Donovan family? I thought all night but came up with no leads. At dawn, I received a text from Eleanor. They couldn't save her. Just 4 short words, but I understood their meaning. I clenched my fists, closed my eyes, and the panic that had been building all night plunged into a deep abyss. Over the years, I had let go of my old grievances with Scarlett, seeing her only as a distant relative. But after all, we had known each other for over a decade. Hearing of her sudden death, I felt more breathless than sad. What I felt was shock, a sense of powerlessness in the face of a departed old friend, and a fear of the capriciousness of fate. After the funeral, Eleanor told me the results of the investigation. The police ruled it a premeditated murder, but they had no leads on the suspect. The car had no license plate, and the police said it was likely stolen from a junkyard. They were still investigating. From the time of the accident until the doctors pronounced her dead, Scarlett had been clutching a necklace. It was unclear if it belonged to the killer or had some other significance. What kind of necklace? They frowned. Eleanor showed me a photo from the hospital. At a glance, I recognized the blood-stained necklace. It was the coming-of-age gift Scarlett had given me. Before my wedding to Eleanor, I had taken it off and returned it to her. I never thought she had kept it for so long. A wave of emotion washed over me. An idea was nagging at the back of my mind, but I couldn't quite grasp it. After Scarlett's death, Eleanor took the kids to the old estate every week to comfort her grandfather. Everyone tacitly avoided mentioning her name. In the eyes of the 2 girls, their Auntie Scarlett had just gone somewhere far away, and they didn't know when she would be back. Every time Eleanor brought home a cake, the girls would always leave a piece in the fridge for her. Time slowly healed the family's sorrow. The 2 girls grew more and more mischievous, turning the house upside down if left unattended. One afternoon, I awoke from a nap to see the 2 of them huddled in a corner, looking through something. I was about to sneak up on them when they came running over, waving a stack of papers. Daddy. Who is Orion? I froze. I recognized what they were holding. It was something Eleanor had hidden. We had been married for 7 years, and I had turned the bedroom upside down looking for it, to no avail. To have the kids find it. I was at a loss for whether to laugh or cry. I put the papers back in their box, and whispered a few things to them. When Eleanor came home, the girls ran to her. Mommy. Who is Orion? Why did you write so many letters to him? Seeing what was in their hands, Eleanor's eyelid twitched. She was about to take them back when she heard me cough. I was leaning against the second-floor railing, smiling like a sly fox. Seeing my expression, she knew I had read the letters. The secrets she had kept for over a decade were finally out in the open, and she let out a sigh of relief. A maid took the kids outside to play. She brought the letters to me. Before she could speak, I held up my hands. It was your 2 precious daughters who found them. It had nothing to do with me. Eleanor threw herself into my arms, chuckling softly. They were written for my Orion. How could it have nothing to do with you? After all this time, I finally get to hear the truth, I said, pinching her ear. When did this all start? Why didn't you tell me when we got married? In front of me, Eleanor could only surrender. The love letters were written when you were 17. They started liking you when I was 13. Do you remember? That year, we both had a cold. My parents were busy with work, and left me in your mother's care. We were in the same hospital room. He had a mild case and got better quickly. You brought me medicine and candy every day, but you were too shy to say anything. When I was sleeping, you wouldn't wake me up, just sat by my bed for an hour. The medicine would get cold, and you'd fall asleep too. When I finally woke you up, the first thing you did was take the bowl away, saying cold medicine wasn't good for me. I have a cold personality. My siblings are much older, and people my age were of a different status. Everyone was afraid of me, so I was always alone. Only you, every time you saw me, you would politely greet me. When you gave Scarlett New Year's gifts, you would always tell her to give a share to me. Because you were kind and polite, I never forgot. I just knew you liked someone else. And I was older than you, so I kept these things to myself. I'm glad I can finally tell you now. It's been so long, I don't even remember all the details anymore. So, while I was trying to reach for the stars, in someone else's eyes, I was a guiding star. So, the gifts left on my windowsill every Christmas. That was you, my Santa Claus. Eleanor nodded in my arms. That was me. And the suit I wore for my 18th birthday. That was also you, hidden among Scarlett's gifts. You figured it all out. The day you heard I wanted to marry you, you must have been so happy you didn't know which way was up. That's right. She laughed. I couldn't tell my east from my west. A cold, bleak wind blew. I was standing alone on an empty rooftop, lost in thought. I didn't know how I got there, nor did I know why. In the blink of an eye, the three people I least wanted to see were standing before me. Leo Vance held a little boy's hand in his left, and his right was tucked into Scarlett's pocket. He strode toward me with his head held high. Where is your precious daughter? The words were a nightmare that gripped my heart. I looked around frantically, searching for any sign of my daughter. There was no one. I looked up again and saw a cold, silver necklace. I couldn't help but close my eyes. When I opened them, I was back in reality. The day was December 7th. The same day, in my past life, that my daughter was kidnapped and pushed from a rooftop. And in the early hours of this morning, I had dreamed of that scene again. I was breathing heavily, wanting to wipe the cold sweat from my forehead. A small movement woke Eleanor. She opened her eyes, her voice sleepy. A dream. I didn't want her to worry. I shook my head slightly. It's a little hot. I'll adjust the thermostat. Go back to sleep. It's still early. She mumbled an agreement and quickly fell back asleep. But I couldn't. The scene from my dream replayed in my mind, but the memory was fading fast. By morning, all I could remember was the necklace. The necklace. What did it mean? I subconsciously touched my neck. Nothing. The empty feeling startled me. I remembered something from the past. I had given the necklace back to Scarlett because Leo Vance liked it. He was jealous of my life and wanted to take everything from me, including the necklace. Before she died, Scarlett had been clutching it. Was she trying to say her killer was Leo Vance? Realizing this, I calmed down. The things that had been bothering me for so long suddenly became clear. In my past life, for Leo to become Scarlett's husband, there were two major obstacles, myself and my daughter, and Eleanor. One occupied the position of Scarlett's husband and child, the other controlled the Donovan family's lifeline. So he ruthlessly caused the car accident and the kidnapping, eliminating both obstacles. In this life, because I had acted first, Leo, at 27, with his parents dead, and a 5-year prison sentence, had his life ruined. After his release, with his personality, he would definitely seek revenge. Scarlett was dead. Next would be me, Eleanor, and the kids. And today was December 7th, the same day as in my past life. It all fit. It was a conspiracy. Understanding everything, I quickly shook Eleanor away. We rushed to the police station. We found the officer in charge of the accident case. I mentioned the necklace. The police quickly followed the lead to track down Leo. I wife and I stayed home with the kids all day. In the late afternoon, we finally got a call from the police. Mr. Winchester, thanks to the clue you provided, we captured Leo Vance and his accomplice outside the kindergarten. He has already confessed. Hearing this, the weight in my heart lifted. My two innocent daughters, seeing me relax, finally dared to run into my arms. Daddy, I want sweet and sour pork ribs. Don't make shrimp for Lyra, she lost a tooth yesterday, and can't eat it. All you two think about is food, I said, feigning annoyance. I glanced at Eleanor, and tilted my chin toward the kitchen. The kids are hungry. Aren't you going to do something about it? Eleanor dutifully stood up, but the two girls immediately pulled her back. If Mommy's cooking, we'll eat out. We're not eating Mommy's food. It's too salty. The sound of our family's laughter drifted out into the night, mingling with the lights of 1,000 homes. Tonight, the distant mountains were green, and the clouds drifted lazily by.